everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Rob,
Gerald.
And today we're going to recap this past Saturday's boxing that was on Fox, in which we had in the main event, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder versus, dang, I just forgot his name. Just like
Ugonoh.
No, Deontay Wilder. He fought,
I'm sorry, he fought Gerald Washington.
Gerald Washington, yeah, that's it. And then on the undercard to that, we had Dominic Breazeale against
Ugonoh.
There we go. And then we had Jarrett Hurd versus
Tony Harrison.
There we go. I just wanted to keep that thing level, right there. Since I messed up, keep it going. Anyway, let's start with Breazeale and Ugonoh and work our way up to Wilder and Gerald Washington. So in this fight, if you watched our preview video, we didn't know how this fight was going to go because we hadn't seen much of Ugonoh. We knew that he had knockout power. We knew that he was a prospect on the come up, and Breazeale is a former world title challenger. So this one was one that we had to watch and see how it developed going in. And I think you picked Ugonoh to win on the preview, right?
I can't remember. I just knew it was going to be a tough fight. I really couldn't pick at that moment. Go back and watch the footage. I might have. I cannot remember.
Okay.
I said it was going to be those intangibles. Ugonoh was good technically, but he was going to go against a guy who was bigger, tougher, and had more experience.
Yeah. And some of that played out in the fight itself. Both guys showed a lot of power because they traded knockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were looking for something as far as improvement with Breazeale, I don't think you saw that. And we saw that Ugonoh was still raw, but he has potential.
That's right.
So if he was to shore up some of those technical things, his feet got a little too close at times. Sometimes his punch selection was a little off for where he was spatially in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And on the plus side, he did show that he had enough power that would bail him out anyway. Because while Breazeale has been hurt and stopped by the likes of Anthony Joshua, most times, and in this occasion too, he's shown the ability to weather that storm and come back to put hurt on his own opponent. So while I continually say, I don't like what I see with him technically and skill-wise and stuff like that, at the end of the day, except for one time, he got the job done. So there's really not too much stock you can put in that. Like, so what? His punches sometimes are lazy and he's not in the best of shape. Because at the end of the day, he gets the W. So that's what I feel.
I wasn't impressed, but it was a fun fight.
It was.
Ugonoh is a big guy for that division. He's about 6'4", it's somewhere between 6'3" to 6'5", and about 230-ish pounds.
Very was a rock.
Yeah, he's muscular, not an inch of fat, but we all know when it comes to contests like boxing, that lactic acid builds up, especially in the more muscular fighters. So he tired and was kind of getting worn down by Breazeale because Breazeale kept coming and Breazeale would catch him. The difference is Ugonoh doesn't really move side to side. He would move back, or he wouldn't move much at all. And with Breazeale, even though he doesn't have the greatest punch technique, what he does is he gets full extension when he commits to those punches. So he may throw a lazy jab, but once he lands, or if he throws that jab with some kind of conviction, he could stun you, and same with that right hand. And his timing is a little underrated because he tends to catch you coming in. His timing it's a little bit better and better and better as the fight wears on. I don't know if that's from Ugonoh tiring or that's more so he's just getting the timing down. But with him, he still has very lazy defense. He keeps his back, glove, fist, whatever, not really close to his face. He doesn't keep it here and he doesn't really keep it up. He keeps it here. So Ugonoh was able to catch him with long right hands, and you just don't have time to bring that glove back to defend yourself. And that led to the knockdown. But again, Breazeale is tough. I just wish he could his condition under control because he was visibly tiring, and that's just not from that's not just from the damage he was taking. He was just tiring. He came in at a career high, if I'm not mistaken, 263 pounds, and it wasn't a chiseled or even solid 263 pounds. He could stand to lose about 20 to 25 pounds and come in to help with his quickness, to help with his conditioning, to wear down the stretch. That's the difference between him fighting Mir Mansour or Anthony Joshua, guys who are strong, even though they're muscular, they have great conditioning. Yeah. So that's a huge difference. And I don't know what it is about people not having a jab. Just bring it back. That's all. I can't stand a lazy jab because once he punches, he leaves a punch out there, which leaves him
open to counters.
And which he did get countered in quite a few of his fights.
Yeah, and if you're not going to bring it back to your face, use your feet or your body to move your head out of the way. There are ways around it if you are not going to do that technical aspect of it. You have to shore it up by doing something else to make sure that you don't get hit. So either you jab and move over this way, jab, move over this way, jab and step, jab, go back, jab, go forward. Something to not be there for a counter. And if he adds that, if he decides that he doesn't want to jab and bring his hands back, then that's fine. So let's see what happens in his development going forward. Let's move on to the 154-pound title fight between Swift Jarrett Hurd and Tony Harrison. Now, in our preview fight, we thought this would be a close fight, that Hurd would pull away late on the scorecards and be able to pull out a victory. He was able to pull away late, but he did something that was even better, which is seal the deal and keep the judges out of the fight by knocking Harrison out.
Right, because Harrison, if you look on some of the scorecards, he was winning up until maybe the mid part of the fight, about 5th to 6th round, depending on what you like. And that was fair because he was throwing the sharper punches. He looked throwing with the flashier, eye-opening punches. But the difference was Jarrett Hurd kept coming. He kept moving forward. There was rarely a time, if any, that he moved backwards. And again, he does those little subtle movements, upper body moving side to side, where he would get hit, but it wasn't super clean. And you could tell that his conditioning, the damage he was taking was actually pretty minimal.
Yes, and it looked to be all part of the game plan. I know listening to the commentators, they were kind of riding him the whole time. And I texted Rob and I was like, am I the only one not seeing what's going on here? Like, it looks to me like Hurd is carrying Harrison, knowing that he's going to be able to come on down the stretch. Because through the first half of that fight, Jarrett Hurd only offered pretty much a jab to the head. He threw a hook occasionally, but the majority of his work was to the body. He, like Rob said, kept the distance close the entire time, which made Harrison feel like he had to respond with something. Like he had to throw a punch. He had to keep Hurd off of him, so he just kept punching. And I don't think he was ready for that type of fight. And Hurd's camp wanted that type of fight, so he just stayed in front of him the entire time, like Rob said, minimalizing the amount of damage he took, and started to come on around the 5th round. He starts visibly hurting Harrison. He starts really digging to his body. He starts to land upstairs because Harrison, as the rounds go on, is not moving as well. When I was watching it, I was like, Hurd could help himself out a little bit by cutting the ring off, but they wanted Harrison to be moving to continue to tire himself out, and it worked out perfectly.
Yes, because that kind of movement with a guy like Harrison, who's better from mid-range to outside, he doesn't want to have to give up too much space going backwards. He wants to be able to hit you, maybe take a step in, but keep you at the end of his punches so he could get maximum power out of each hand. With this one, when you crowd that space, he doesn't get full extension. Now, granted, he did land some really good right hands. Hurd was there to be hit at times. But that you could just see that he moved Harrison and Hurd did well by punching and coming to going to each side. But what Hurd would do was he would move to the side and he would shoot a right hand down the middle, and that's what got the knockout. Taking himself off center, but shooting a punch right down the middle.
And on the defensive side, a lot of people tell you not to lean over to your side, and what Hurd was doing was not only was he leaning to his side, he was leaning back. So he would lean back way over this way, and not only would it, like if Harrison did land, it was all the way out here. So the force of the punch had already completely dissipated by the time it landed. It still had like a little small snap to it, or like a sound because it made the connection, but the power was already gone because Harrison had already fully committed to the punch, and he was almost reaching to land the punch. So those are those little small old school things that I talked about in the preview video that Hurd does that a lot of people won't notice, and I don't suggest you try at home unless you like to get hit a lot. Because it's going to take a lot of fine tuning to get that type of defense down. Sort of like James Toney. Like he did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds, years of work in the gym to perfect his defensive style. And I wouldn't teach somebody that coming right out of the gym. That's something you have to learn on your own or through years of working with your coach and trusting your coach and trusting your fighter as a coach, because you don't want to be like, hey man, don't do that. We got to change that. But his team recognizes how he fights, who he is, and they were able to craft a game plan that worked perfectly for him. Will that work against other fighters? Maybe not. But it worked perfectly for Tony Harrison, and now Jarrett Hurd is the IBF champ. So that picture has cleared up slightly. We now have Jermell Charlo as the WBC champ.
And he will be fighting Charles Hatley next.
Right, and that's coming up very soon as well.
That's right.
We have Arizlandi Lara.
He's a WBA champ.
One of the WBA champs.
Yeah.
Along with, I think Kolke is also, who's fighting Demetrius Andrade. So the WBA might take a while before that one clears up.
Right.
And then Canelo has the WBO belt. So
still,
he'll probably drop that, because if he wins against Chavez, then he fights Golovkin, he's not going back down to 54.
No.
So maybe it didn't clear up. After talking all that out, I was like, wait a minute, that's not clear at all. We still got a bunch of guys who aren't fighting yet. Let's give 2017 a chance, because so far it's been turning out pretty good as far as the best fighting the best, prospects fighting prospects, and the fights delivering on fight night. So let's keep that ball rolling and see what happens with that division. Like I said, there's a lot of good guys with belts, and there's a lot of guys that are coming up to challenge those good guys with belts, one of which we'll talk about in the preview video for this week's Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia card. Who is Erickson Lubin? So we'll talk about that in the preview video for that fight. Let's move on to the main event, where Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder took on Gerald El Gallo Negro Washington. And we thought that from what we saw of Gerald Washington, his counter-punching style would play right into Wilder's hands and allow for an early knockout. Now, we still got a slightly early knockout. I said within 4 rounds. He got him in 5. But Washington came out aggressive, and it worked great for him for those 4 rounds. And I think he won all 4 rounds.
Yeah, because in the preview video, we said a fighter that would be able to give Wilder trouble, someone who can be aggressive and get on the inside. And he did just that. He had some great work where he used his natural size advantage, not height, but size. He weighed about 20 or more so pounds more than Wilder, but he's like a fit, muscular, defensive end type, 245, 250 pounds, against a guy who's a former basketball player. So that weight and strength differential was there.
Yes. And so he used his jab well. He caught Deontay Wilder several times with that, and when he covered up and tried to mitigate the damage, Washington just followed up with more punches. Not all of them went through, but he was being active and effective because Wilder was being handcuffed and not throwing. He took advantage of Wilder's not as great footwork as well. You could see Wilder was a little awkward in there. And he usually is in the first few rounds anyway, until he really gets his feet set and begins to get his groove on, as you say. He kind of is a slow starter, if you will. Unless the guy is like completely retreating from him, then he'll just go into kill mode. But lately, as he's gotten a slightly better competition, he's been a little bit more measured in his approach. And this was his first fight since injuring his hand and bicep against Chris Arreola. And at times it looked like he didn't really want to throw it that much. But when he did decide to throw it, and he caught Gerald Washington coming in, because he stuck to that game plan, credit to Wilder for adjusting, seeing what was going on, and making him stop. That's what I always tell people, like, if you see something that somebody is doing that you don't like, you don't bitch about it, stop him from doing it. And that's exactly what Wilder did. And Wilder's the type of guy that it only takes one. And he landed that right hand, and Gerald Washington did not know where he was anymore, and the fight was ended promptly after that. So we didn't learn anything really new about Deontay Wilder. We did learn some stuff about Gerald Washington. I think he should get another shot at something, or some kind of eliminator or something like that, or maybe another prospect battle, because this was his first loss, correct?
This was
his first loss. He had a draw, but this is his first loss. So that doesn't mean he's done. That doesn't mean he's like damaged goods or anything like that. He lost to the champ. So there's no shame in that. He should get back in line and fight his way back up.
That's right.
So that's it, guys. Try to keep that relatively short. Hope you liked the video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. If you have anything that you want to add, what you saw in the fight, hit us up in the comment section below. Hit us up on any of our social media platforms. The links are down below. Hit us up on our email. I believe that's down below too. If you have any questions, hit us up. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, fight on.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.